Harold Agnew, an American physicist and prominent member of the Manhattan Project, played a significant role in documenting the first use of an atomic bomb during World War II. His recording of the atomic bomb is one of the most famous visual records of this historic event. Here's an overview of Harold Agnew's involvement and his recording. Harold Agnew was a physicist who worked at the Los Alamos laboratory during the Manhattan Project. He was deeply involved in the development of the atomic bomb and later became the director of the Los Alamos National Laboratory. On August 6, 1945, during the bombing of Hiroshima, Agnew was aboard the observation plane, the Great Artiste, which flew alongside the Enola Gay, the B-29 bomber that dropped the atomic bomb. His mission was to record scientific data and observe the effects of the bomb. Harold Agnew brought along a 16mm handheld movie camera to document the event. As the atomic bomb detonated over Hiroshima, he filmed the explosion from the observation plane. His footage captures the initial blast, the massive mushroom cloud that followed, and the immense scale of destruction. Agnew's recording is one of the few visual records of the Hiroshima bombing from the air. The footage provides a stark, first-hand view of the bomb's power and has been widely used in historical documentaries and educational materials about World War II and the atomic bomb. The footage shot by Agnew is invaluable not only as a historical record, but also as a scientific document. It helped scientists and military personnel analyze the bomb's effects and contributed to the broader understanding of nuclear explosions. Over the years, Agnew's footage has been released to the public and has been featured in numerous films and television programs that examine the development and use of nuclear weapons. Harold Agnew, like many involved in the Manhattan Project, reflected on the ethical implications of using the bomb. While he believed in the necessity of the bomb's use during the war, his footage serves as a sobering reminder of the devastating consequences of nuclear weapons. Harold Agnew's recording of the atomic bomb over Hiroshima is a powerful piece of visual history. It provides a rare and immediate perspective on the destructive force of the bomb, contributing both to scientific understanding and to the broader historical narrative of the use of nuclear weapons. His role as a scientist and a witness to this event has left a lasting impact on how we remember and study the atomic bombings of World War II.
Harold Agnew was a scientific observer aboard the B-29, the Great Artiste, during the atomic bombing mission to Hiroshima.
Louis had this idea that we ought to measure the yield. So we went to Oppie and got Oppie's approval, and then he asked for volunteers to join him because it was clear we were going to have to go overseas. He already had Larry Johnson. It turned out I was the only other volunteer. And it was really rather dumb to do because I had a wife and a 1-year-old kid. Now, why am I volunteering to go overseas? It was just dumb. Actually, we did not witness Hiroshima. We were busy with our instruments. The plane was lit up with the flash because we had a window, about a 6-inch window. That's all we had back where we were. We were able to look out the window, and I took some pictures. Came the time to go for the second mission. We said, oh, fine, we'll send Walter and we'll send the 2 SEDs. And the powers that be said, no, one of you guys has to go too. Now, we all had uniforms. We weren't really in the Army, but we had uniforms and insignia. I was a first lieutenant, it said. And so somebody had to go, so we decided we would draw straws. And poor Larry got the short straw. So Larry went to Nagasaki, and we stayed there and wished him well.
I noticed when I taxied out that there were several hundred people that were in the area that the aircraft were parked in. There were some in front of the control tower, and people were out there standing to look and see what was going on without really knowing what they were looking at, but it was something different, so they wanted to be part of it. They wanted to see what was taking place.
Now there's one bomb, and one airplane is going to carry that bomb, and that's the group commander, that's then Colonel Tibbets, with his full crew. My crew was assigned to fly in formation on his right wing during the bombing for a couple of reasons. Somebody had to fly there, and I was scheduled by him to fly the second mission, if there were to be a second mission. We would have a third aircraft flying on the left wing who would drop back just before the bombing. He was equipped with cameras.
We made the rendezvous quite successfully, and then we had about an hour and a half or a little over that to go along in a lazy formation on a beautiful night out over the Pacific with moons and cloud puffs that looked like powder puffs. It was a quiet, peaceful evening, believe me. And nothing much went on. A little bit of talk in the airplane, but that's always normal on a mission. But then you get a quiet period. And while we were going along there, I guess everybody was dreaming or something because it was quiet. In this particular case, that bomb had 53 seconds from the time it left the airplane until it exploded. That's how long it took it to fall from the bombing altitude, 53 seconds. And this gave us adequate time, of course, to make the turn. Now, we had just made the turn and rolled out in level flight when it seemed like somebody had grabbed a hold of my airplane and gave it a real hard shaking, because this was something that I was glad to feel, because it gave me a moment of relief after all having worked on that bomb for well over a year. You know, that 53 seconds time while I'm turning the airplane, I'm wondering, is it or is it not going to work? And of course the shock wave hitting us was indication it had worked. Therefore I felt that success had been achieved.
When the bomb came, I saw the yellowish flash, and I was buried in the darkness. The 2-storied wooden building that was my house with 8 rooms in it was blown down to pieces and covered me up.
When I regained consciousness, everything was pitch dark all around me. I tried to stand up, but my leg was broken.
The day was clear when we dropped that bomb. It was a clear, sunshiny day, and visibility was unrestricted. So as we came back around, again facing the direction of Hiroshima, where we saw this cloud coming up. The cloud by this time now 2 minutes. Cloud was up at our altitude. We were 33,000 feet at this time, and the cloud was up there and continuing to go right on up in a boiling fashion. It was rolling and boiling. The surface was nothing but a black, boiling, only thing I could say, like a barrel of tar. Probably the best description that I can give. This is exactly the way it looked down there. Where before there had been a city distinctive houses, buildings, and everything that you could see from our altitude. Now you couldn't see anything except this black boiling debris down below. We took pictures as rapidly as we could. My immediate concern after that was, it's time to get out of here.
The long drawn-out war, you begin to get casualties from the side effects of exhaustion, privation, disease, and things of that sort. So getting it over with as quick as possible is a moral responsibility of everyone concerned. Now, it's true that we knew the war was over, and if we just waited a little while, it would be over because the Japanese were negotiating, and we knew this by the fact that we'd broken our code and were listening to their communications. But I believe that President Truman made the proper decision to use it, and because it probably hastened the negotiations, and even if we just saved one day, to me it would be worthwhile. You have to do it.
I thought it was absolutely unnecessary, because by the time the bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, we were conducting negotiations with the Soviet government, looking toward an early end of hostilities. And we were completely exhausted. And the Navy and the Army, too, were slowly becoming more amenable to the idea of peace.
An appalling subject to talk about, and the United States has consciously and unconsciously a great guilt complex about its use. But Truman made the decision on the basis of the military necessities, and I think an impartial analysis, particularly from the Japanese themselves, more evidence is coming out that they would have fought on fanatically. You know, they did fight on fanatically in some of the islands, even in spite of the surrender.